No, today's video is not saying that you shouldn't invest in Bitcoin. It's a video of why I don't invest in Bitcoin, at least not yet. And yes, I had to say it before the YouTube Bitcoin army invades my channel. Unless you've been living under a rock, you must have heard of Bitcoin, the most popular cryptocurrency. Recently, Bitcoin reached sky-high values, and this followed a number of high-profile events, such as Tesla announcing that they've bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoins. MasterCard and Visa have also announced their plans to start accepting Bitcoin payments, coming to terms with the fact that the cryptocurrency is no longer an experimental asset class, but rather a currency here to stay. With the surge in Bitcoin value, more people started to jump on the bandwagon and Bitcoin reached its all-time high. Even Elon Musk himself tweeted that he thought that Bitcoin price seemed a bit high, and as a result Bitcoin slipped off its high mark. That tied Tesla with Bitcoin, two very volatile investments, and understandably Tesla's price also took a hit, as any rational investor would be spooked by this correlation of risk factors. But the fundamental question is Bitcoin really a good investment? While cryptocurrency is an asset class of its own, it shares some similarities with other asset types such as precious metals like gold. This is because they are both speculative assets, that is, the bulk of their value is driven mainly by the speculation of what the prices might be, without a financial metric to estimate its value. What I mean is, if you were to buy a share, for example, the value of your share is essentially a fraction of the company value. Putting fraud aside, companies can be valued based on their book value, that is, their assets and liabilities, or perhaps on their expected performance in the near future. That's why there are a number of metrics through which you can gauge whether a share price is overvalued or undervalued. Of course, this is not an exact science, but these have been typically solid theories underpinning those valuations. A speculative asset, on the other hand, is buying it and expect it to rise because more people will buy it. And when more people buy it, the price rises and draws even more people to jump on the bandwagon. And that's bubble territory. So this eventually turns into a speculative bubble and it all comes crashing down as people scramble to sell and try not to lose money. Bitcoin, like currencies in general, has no inherent value besides being a medium of exchange. Unlike gold, which is used in manufacturing and jewelry, you can't use Bitcoin for anything else but as a currency. This means that it's similar to investing in foreign exchange, except that there's a hard cap on the supply, and that cap implies you can't just print money like the Feds are doing. That is why people say it's a good hedge against inflation. And currencies don't necessarily appreciate over time. It all depends on the exchange rate, which in turn is influenced by monetary and economic conditions in the countries. But with Bitcoin, because so many people are clearly keen on buying it, the prices have shot up. And we don't really know at what level it will stabilize, if at all. Historically, we've seen Bitcoin value spike up very quickly and crash down. This happened in December 2017, and it wasn't until December 2020 that Bitcoin passed that mark, so not very long ago. I'm sure you've seen many Bitcoin millionaires on YouTube or other websites bragging on how they knew it right from the start. However, what you don't see as often is how many people also lost money when the prices crashed as well. Do you remember GameStop and the time where the price rocketed after it turned into a movement fueled by social media? Well, quite a few people made a fortune, but many people also lost money as well when they bought when the price was quite high, just before it crashed down. That's not to say you won't make money from Bitcoin, that's not my point. Rather, as I've explained before, Bitcoin is one of the most volatile investment assets, and that means you're taking higher risks, something that you should be very well aware of before you make any investment decision. If you're willing to gamble for a huge payoff, you should also be prepared to lose a lot of money. And its historical volatility is proof of just that. Nevertheless, the future is looking more promising for Bitcoin as large institutional investors are investing more into Bitcoin, which is getting more and more accepted as a means of payment. So I don't invest much in Bitcoin for the reasons mentioned above. But there's also one more reason, is that Bitcoin is not the only cryptocurrency. Currently there are thousands of cryptos, and there's no limit on the number of different cryptocurrencies one can create. With traditional fiat money, you don't see the government bringing in new currencies, even though the money printing machine has been working overtime lately. So there's an additional risk that another crypto overtakes Bitcoin and makes it obsolete. I know, doesn't sound very likely now, but it's still a risk that you need to consider. Or perhaps a change in political winds, cryptocurrency gets restricted or even banned. So there are many unknowns, and that makes me personally a bit uncomfortable to put my life savings in Bitcoin. But that's my personal risk appetite, and you should work out yours. So again, no, I'm not saying that you shouldn't invest in Bitcoin as long as you know what you're doing and you understand the risks. My feeling is that Bitcoin will make many people either win a lot of money or lose a lot of money. One way to avoid these extreme scenarios is to diversify in multiple asset classes, something I've mentioned several times before in my videos. So make sure you check them out if you haven't done so already. But that said, I personally think that Bitcoin is a genius invention based on blockchain technology, making transactions secure, verifiable, and decentralized. It was not initially designed to be an investment asset class, but rather designed to solve the problem of fraud. But like many other asset classes, it became an investment opportunity. And that brings me to the end of my video. I hope you found it useful. And let me know in the comments below whether you invest in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin even, and what you like and dislike about it. As always, thank you and see you next time.